just going to the on. Alrighty, what's going on? What's going on? It is Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. We are live. Hope everybody doing good and great and amazing out there. So what is up, man? I was like, invite I shared. All right, so let's get straight into this, ladies and gentlemen. Again, happy Tuesday, Soul of a Man. We are back. So today we are getting the today's topic is you are the muse. So today's topic is you are the muse. You are the motivation. So give some context and the background of where I got that. Yesterday, I was just having a day. I just felt unmotivated. I felt I just felt lethargical, and I was like, man, sometimes like for me, I live in a big city. Sometimes, when you live in a big city, you just don't have the motivation to get up and do things and, and this and that. But I know a lot, it is a lot of times it is really and truly about perspective and how you see it and how you're viewing it, so to speak. So, I talked to a great friend of mine yesterday, and we both agreed and blah blah blah. So today, I got up, I went to the gym, I did my video about you are the muse and all of that, and as I was as I was going into the gym, I was getting out of the car, I see the metro lift. They go around and they pick up people who can't necessarily get around themselves. They have like some type of disability. So before I go to the gym, the metro lift pulls up. There's a gentleman that gets out, and he has his walking stick and his glasses, so he's seeing impaired, and he we only walked into the gym and no help, and he just moved around. And man, I looked at him and I talked to the driver. I was talking to the driver of the lift, and I said, hey, can I share something with you real quick? Said it'll be real, to the point. And I was telling her, I was like, I said I was talking to somebody yesterday about motivation, and hey, how are you? I was talking to somebody yesterday about motivation, and sometimes how you just don't have the motivation to get up and do things, and how you just naturally don't feel like it. And how sometimes you just don't naturally feel like it. Hey, what's going on, Miss Ashmore? How are you? How sometimes you just don't feel like it, and it's amazing how God will put something right in your face and show you, oh, okay, well, let me, you think you've got it, whatever. Let me show you something. Let me show you a miracle in action. So, like this gentleman again, he got off the bus, seeing impaired. He got off, walked into the gym. He's using the machines by himself, doing his thing, and I'm like, after I saw him do all of that stuff, I thought to myself, you know what, I've got nothing to complain about, and I just shut up. I said, you know what, let me just go forward and let me just go do what I have to do, because that sometimes again it is about perspective and seeing something. It's like if you're complaining and you're about your, I'm not complaining, but if you feel a certain kind of way about your life, and then let's say you walk into a hospital and you see people, just sick and all that stuff, and you're like, man, like what am I really complaining about? Like seriously, like what am I complaining about, or what do I have to right. Like no, no. Like some people live by that mantra: no excuses, no days off. Because you got you know that you had things to do. You're trusting in the process and all of that good stuff. So and after after I felt like I felt yesterday, and after I saw what I saw today, I was like, well, excuse me, so let me go get this workout in, and let me go and do what it is that I have to do through the day, because what's going on, Wes? Hey, how are you? So, man, this is just is very interesting. Again, perspective, man, perspective. Anyway, so today we are talking about "You Are the Muse" because, again, I am a testimony on this. You never quite know who's looking. You never quite know who's watching. As you're going through the day, as you're going through the journey, as you are showing up, as you are naturally showing up each and every day. You never know who you are uplifting by just by you showing up. Just by you showing up every day, and people, they may not know what you're going through, or they may not know what it took for you. Sometimes just you getting up, sometimes just you getting up and moving and moving. That's a win. Like that thing says. Hey, a win is a win. Hey, how are you? Like they say, a win is a win, man. It's like you never quite know. You never quite know where your motivation is coming from. Something one day might click in you and might say, man, I need to move to a different city. You might say, well, how am I going to do that? I don't have any money. You start thinking of, immediately start listing all the stuff that you don't have, but you're like, sometimes we just don't listen to the inner voice in ourselves. God, Holy Spirit, your inner, with your high against high, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes we just like, we have this thing of shutting it down, man. Like, oh, thanks for the gift. We have this thing of shutting it down and shutting it down quick, like for real. But it's important that it's important that we continue to get up and move and show up. I used to work at this place, and I used to see like this beautiful young lady, and I didn't know her. I didn't really speak to her. I think one day I walked up to her and I told her, I said, "Man, you know what?" I said, "I don't even know you, but I said you just showing up every day. It's just you are very motivating, to me, and it's the truth. You never know, man. Um, you could see you might be somebody who takes public transportation. You could see somebody on the bus. You look at them and it's like, wow, this person, I see this person catching the bus every day. And they're, they may be, I don't know, older in life, but you still seeing them getting up, moving around, doing all these things, walking in the hot sun, getting off the bus, maybe going to the store. You don't know what their life is, but you see them from a distance, and you see them moving, and you see, you just see like them not wanting to give up. And I was listening to somebody yesterday. They were talking about. Hold on, let me drink. They're talking about how we're living in a time, people in their teens and 20s and 30s, how where they just see no hope. They want to just check out of here so fast. I've had those thoughts of depression and suicide, and I don't know if we can say that on here. Yeah, I don't know, but I've had those thoughts when I was younger. And until you have to find something to live for, man. You gotta find something to. I get it. Sometimes this whole thing is, I get it. It's not fair sometimes. We can see it like that because we don't understand. We don't understand the majority of it. I try not to. Just my mind would, I'm a thinker. My mind just sometimes races and goes used to go all over the place until I got to that point where I could focus. But by you showing up every day, and I mean every day, despite everything that you see, despite everything and all that stuff. And thank you guys so much for joining me. If this is your first time watching, don't forget to subscribe out there, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. So yep, the calm, it's almost like, the calm before the storm. Every level, even when you get stuff in your wildest dreams, your wildest imagination, all of the stuff that you prayed for, some stuff still may come up. Sit seriously. Because you got to remember, you're still that kingdom builder. You're still that curse breaker. You're still the one in your family. The chosen one. However you want to look at that. You're still that person. And people may be coming to you for certain stuff. I'm not, not necessarily all about money, but they may come to you for certain things. I still go to my elders for certain stuff. I may, call my older brother. I may need advice on working out, or it's just sometimes it's just good to hear people's voice. Even in the times that we're living in. But yeah, just being somebody's, like you are the muse, because you never know. Uh, Even in whatever situation that you're in, where you are, what you have, people are looking at you. Your ancestors look at you. Uh, your angel guy looks at you. Very, and the things that you do, the things that you overcome. I'm sure we could be down here screaming to the heavens. Oh, why me? Why do I have to go through this? And sometimes it's like that. But we a lot of us handle it. Sometimes you do have to give yourself grace, man. Because you handle it. A lot of times. Oh, well, welcome. A lot of times you never know. You handle it better than most. I'll just say that. You handle these situations, and sometimes we put ourselves in these situations. Sometimes we go and we do things begrudgingly to ourselves, because a lot of us, we are knuckleheads. When we're younger, sometimes when we're older, we do things to bring, you know, now, hope as we are old, we're getting a little older in life and we have wisdom. We don't do that, whatever the stuff that we did when we were younger. We knew something told us, don't get in that car, don't drive down that street. I remember time going to, um, I remember one time I was younger. I was living in New Orleans. It's like really my first major relationship. Anyway, we were going through some stuff. I don't know if we had broken up. Me and my friends went out. We were hanging out all night, drinking. We were at the casino. Maybe gambling a little bit, just being young, having fun. And I don't. I remember. Um, I remember kind of getting into the car and making it home, but I don't remember anything other than that. I know that sounds very scary, like for real. I just remember waking up the next morning, going outside. The car was okay. I was okay, and I was like, I'd never do that again. But it did happen again. I'm telling you, man, that's the stuff that you do when you're young. You go out, you have fun, you party, and and X, Y, and X, Y, and Z. Is this thing still? Oh yeah, and you go and you have fun. But again, we're talking about that. We're talking about enough about me, but we're talking about how you are the muse. You probably have a little one. They look up at you, and your mommy, your daddy, or your aunt, your uncle, your whatever. Your maybe your grandparent. I don't know, but they look at you. They look up to you for that inspiration, for that love. Because that is so in today's world and society, that's so far few and in between. It's like some places like deserts that are void of water, like water that you can, clear water that's not contaminated, that you can drink, that's nourishing to the body, that you truly need. You're to them, that's you. You're that nourishing. Yeah, so you're that nourishing. And again, you never know, you never know who's looking. You never know, just that quality. I would like. man, if my grandmother was still around, the questions I would ask now, you know, if she was, I know she's still around spiritually, but the questions I would, you know, I would ask her, and it was just so much love, it was just so much love being, just let me take this off of here. I don't know where we are, but yeah, just it was just so much love. What's going on, Miss Coco? It's just so much love being around. I need to give you a call, but yeah, it was just so much love being around her, man. And when we get older, our elders pass on, and they become ancestors, and they watch over us and stuff. And I know that they are very proud of us, and I know we're down here kicking and screaming and going through this stuff, and my goodness, it's wild. It is wild. Planet Earth right now is probably the most rocking place. Probably like where we are right now, like this planet Earth, probably the most rockingest place in the multiverse. Like seriously, because of all of the stuff that's going on, right? All of the transitions that are happening right now, all of the things that we are seeing in our lifetime, they say, man, what a time to be alive. Like, really and truly, what a time to be alive. Stop hanging around low hanging fruit, because you're elevating, you're elevating, you're elevating, somebody stops, if you're in the elevator, you're going up, and they're like, hey, are you going down? No, I'm going up. So that's where that's where it is for you right now. That's, you're going up. So they're going to have to wait for the next elevator to come through, Hey, what's going on, Miss MJ? Yeah, so they're going to have to wait for that next elevator to come through to elevate. And yeah, tonight we'll be doing like a Bible study, inspirational talk about business later on tonight, 8 p.m. CST time on YouTube. But yeah, but yeah, it's just very interesting the times that we're living in. It's very, very, very interesting. But yeah, just to know, you showing up every day doing what you're doing, people just, looking from a distance, not in a bad or creepy way, just people looking from a distance, seeing you in action. You never know who you are. You never know who you're inspiring, because they look at you and they see you as one of these people. Maybe they see you as a go getter. Maybe they see you as someone who's dedicated. They see the love, and then they see the love and the passion and the compassion that you have for what it is that you do. So they look at you as their muse, in a sense, and they see you as someone who just gets it done, someone who is inspirational, motivational, and all of these amazing things. And you're like, me, yeah, yeah, that's how, that's how some people can see you. And these people, they adore you, and they're going to adore you, for not not worship, but they adore, they adore you for who you are, and for, not it's just very easy to just give up and throw in a towel. And I've had people in my life, probably look at me and say, oh, he's a quitter because he went to that job and blah blah, but when you have these gifts and you can go on the job and you can feel what it is, and you know that, nah, this ain't it. You can answer. Sometimes that probably saves your life, and yeah, so that probably saves your life. And other people might look at you, oh man, you just win and you just quit and blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, if you could go work over there, and they go work over there, and then they go through hell, then they come back and talk to you so many months later, and they be like, man, you know what? I think you were right when you just walked away from that place. Those people are crazy. There's no way in the world I see why you did what you did, man. But anyway, it's it's just it's perspective. It's just different points of view, how people look at you and how you are being anointed for the times and for the times that we are living in, and the things that you are naturally being prepared for, and the power and the strength that you have, and how you just handle it so miraculously without like losing your mind or wishing that you had someone else's life or anything, or any, so I'm here so if nothing else, I'm just here today to give you your flowers, just for you, waking up, getting up, going out, doing what it is that you have to do, staying committed, staying committed, like really and truly, like, saying like, I'm gonna find something to do with myself, with my life, and knowing that it's not that knowing that you have bigger and greater things to do out here, because you are very much so anointed. You really, really, really are. You really and truly are very, very much so anointed. Like from your feet, all the way to the top of your head. Very, very, very anointed. Like real true. Hey, how are you, ma'am? Like very, very much so anointed. Yeah, so there's really no running away now because things are. Um, so I just get that you're gonna be winning by a landslide. Like if you were running for some kind of public office, you're just that charismatic. People love you, and that's how you would win. You would win. You would win by a landslide, by a windfall, and without like and you have the grace of having all of the abundance of having everything that you have spiritually in you, around you, and all of that good stuff. And it's just now at this point in time where that crown, or just get the crown of life, has just been put over your head. You've been purposed and you've been anointed. That's why I was saying that you are the muse. You just showing up, and I gave those examples. You may be a, I don't know, a mom or whoever out there doing what it is that you do. And I gave the example yesterday how, I was kind of, I just had a day where I was just unmotivated, uninspired. We had those days, and talked to my homeboy. I went to the gym today, and I was, I did a quick video, and as I was about to get out the car, I saw the public transportation, like small bus pull up that drops the people off that have like disabilities and stuff like that. So a gentleman gets out of the bus, and he's like, he's seeing impaired. He has on his glasses, and he has his walking stick so he can feel around. So the little lady is helping him off the bus, and he goes into the gym, and he's walking around. I know everywhere I would go, I would see him. Like he's just using the machines, like he's nothing. And I'm sitting there like, what do I have to complain about? I can see, I can talk, I can move around. Sometimes we may look at our bank account and say, "Oh, I don't have." We think of all of the stuff that we don't have, but we forget all that who we are. Intertwined with all of this craziness, chaos that we live around, and the peace that we have. And we forget about we forget about the peace that we have in our lives. No matter what your belief system, what your walk of life, whatever. If you've got that peace, you've got that consecration from your ancestors and all that stuff, and from God and from whoever. Just try to be thankful, and like revert thing. And again, this gentleman was he was seeing impaired, and he just walked in there, and I, and I was just like, and you just have that moment, man. God will show you stuff. You just have that moment, and you just like, man, let me go do what I gotta go do out here. Yeah, let me get myself up and stop complaining, and just keep moving, just keep going, do Do what you got to do. Sometimes we do need a break, and do what you need to do out here. But it's just interesting when these things happen and you see it. This was today. This was in real time, and I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, lesson learned real quick. Like that lesson that lesson was learned like really, really, really quick. And I was like, yeah, let me go and do what I got to do, and just move along. Move along with the day. So on and so forth. But how long have I been on here? About 25 minutes. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so it's just interesting, man. It is just interesting in this life and the stuff that we go through, the stuff that we see, the experiences. They're gonna get bigger. It is gonna be more impressive. It's almost like what we've seen, and I'm not downplaying, what I've been through, what you've been through, but it's going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to grow. More people are going to continue to come to you for this or that, for business, for just and motivation, inspiration. You're it's almost like when you walk outside the clouds part and you just get this light on you and in you for whatever it is that you need. Like, man, it's like the I'm okay. So it's like the red. It's almost like when the Israelites were in Egypt, Moses, the Red Sea, the staff and the seas parted. That's what's happening for you now. Like the seas are parted. You're about to you're parting ways with that old life. It's like you're parting ways with that old life. That new you're coming into you're coming you're coming into something new now. You're coming into something very, very new. Very You're gonna be if you've been looking for something where you're like, man, I wish I could use I wish I could use my passions or something like that. So you're about to transcend, and you're about to get that something. You're about to get that opportunity. You're about to get a major opportunity. About to get a very, very this is very special, tied together for you, wrapped nice on a bow, like walking outside of your home, and somebody say, "Close your eyes," and you walk out, you see a brand new, I don't know what car, a G wagon with a nice red bow on it, very shiny. You know how we like stuff. So this is your G wagon opportunity. So and somebody very soon is going to get the opportunity to get something of their dream, something that you have been very much so dreaming about, beyond the opportunity that's coming, going to um uh, that's going to allow you to do some amazing things with your gifts. But you're on the radar. It's almost like you're on the divine time clock now. So it's like something very important is coming. Like you're coming. You're coming in the now, like really and truly. It's like a togetherness of all of those that walk with you to come together to make this happen, for you, because they trust you. That's the best way I can put it. Cool. I will leave you with that because I need to make a phone call. Yes, but I'll be back on here later on tonight, but 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube. So yeah, check us out. Don't forget to follow and all that good stuff, and y'all have a great Tuesday. All right, cool. Goodness, man. Let me see. Yeah, I need to.